How did you guys meet?
I met Jeremy. I heard about him before I met him. We were interviewing principal or assistant principal for our school, and there were some students who used to go to Gompers. And one of the students was drawing something, and it looked really good. And I said, "Oh, did you learn that in school?" He goes, "Yeah, that was my teacher, Jeremy Harper." I said, "Oh, we needed our art teacher was retiring." And I said, "Oh, gee, wonder if we could like cherry pick him." And the principal, who happened to be there, was like, "Hey, Gompers is closing. We can get him. We can get him." So
That's awesome.
That's what happened.
And I met Al.
Yeah.
I was supposed to meet Albert the day of my interview at Westside, but what ended up happening is Al was out that day, and I think I ended up meeting Al the next time I came to Westside, which was it was towards the end of the 2012-2013 school year. And I came to Westside to just talk with the administration. And Al, they were planning a party for who I took over for, who was retiring, and Albert was there, and I got to meet Al. And then and then the summer came, and then we got to really know each other that fall when we came back to school.
That's awesome. How did the ideas for the video come about?
Oh, how did the ideas come about? Well, that's easy. When Al gave me a sneak listen of while he was working on Incantation, Ravens really, I was listening to it in my car, and I had to almost just really turn it up. And I told Al the first time I heard it that the instrumental part really stuck out to me. I told him, when a song is really good, and when you feel the time, the place, it tells a story, and it takes you somewhere. And I told him, man, that song Ravens takes me somewhere, man. And when he told me what the song was about, I told him right away. I said, I'm directing this video. I said, I know what we're going to do for this video. It was like that. And that's usually because I'm an artist, when I don't usually have to think too much. It usually comes right to me when I get inspiration. So when I heard that song, especially the instrumental part of the song, I just knew that when Albert told me who he wrote it for, and I listened to the way he told the story of his friend in the song, I knew exactly how it needed to be done.
Yeah, it drew me in as well. I thought it was real cool. Speaking of cool, how was it working in the cold and snow?
Oh, well, it was not the first time I'd done it, so I've done a bunch of videos with my son, as I was telling you before, my son Ace, and he's a cinematographer, and that's what he does for his gig.
Great job.
But thank you. And so we'd done a video where we were in the snow for 2 days back in I guess December of 2013, and then I did another video back in I guess it was January, where it was 9 degrees, and I was out in a skinny leather jacket walking around Manhattan,
right.
Trying to sing my song, and so this, compared to that, number one, Jeremy was there. So Jeremy always makes me laugh, he's
It was brisk that day. It was quite cold. We were down by the Hudson River, and I saw Al in the snow, and after a while, it was you could almost see him start to shiver a little bit, and it was oh man, we got to get him out of there. He's a little guy. We gotta, that cold is gonna go right through his bones. So no, but really, to be honest with you, the weather worked out perfect that day, because the way that we storyboarded it, we said it can't be a sunny, bright day. It has to be overcast. We want a gray day. It just so happened that it was about 30 degrees with a wind chill of maybe feeling 5 degrees outside that day. And, every element that day was right for that video.
It was actually, relative to the other times that I've filmed outside in the winter, this was the easiest one. So it wasn't that bad, although we had to do it after school, so
Mhm.
we started about 4 o'clock, and by the time we finished, the sun was just going down.
Oh, that beautiful
And,
sun that day. The sun was out, but it wasn't like creating this overall sunny, bright color day. But it was out enough that when we got to the river and we saw it setting, it put enough light for those really
Yeah.
beautiful scenes where you see the contours and that
Yes.
beautiful image of Albert on the rock looking across into New Jersey. And that was such a strong scene. I think, to me, like in my personal opinion, it's what makes the video.
Completely
Yeah.
agree, by the way.
I do
Yeah,
too.
especially-
It's- I mean, he had drawn it in the storyboard, which I'll show. And he had some other. We had some other thought about it. I was going to be staring out at a mountain or something.
Yeah, originally we had done it where Al was going to be like on the top of a building, looking out into the horizon. And I even suggested, I was like, well, maybe we can get on top of the West Side building. And nah, it just worked out perfect when we were down there, and especially with the beautiful ice chunks that day. It was almost like you didn't. If you watch the video, and the ice itself lends the textures of those ice, the way they were coming out, and then
Yes.
Yeah.
Ace, who was the camera, our camera guy, he did a great job of really catching this, not only just the beautiful movement of the ice but it was just the textures and the way the light was hitting it, and it was really great.
Yeah. When he goes around my back when I'm playing the guitar, and then he kind of catches the sun just peeking out. You can almost see like almost a little ray. And to me, that's so appropriate for that section of the song, because the song is really, it's about my friend who died, and so it's kind of sad, and that moment of the guitar solo is definitely the happiest moment. It's where I'm trying to play the music the way that he used to play it, when he was in our band. So I was trying to do honor to his music, and I think I'm sure, if he can hear it, he's happy with how I've represented him.
I agree, because like you did very great playing those guitar chords while lifting the guitar. That was really good.
Yeah.
How long did it take to make the video?
Well, overall, it took 3 days to shoot it. We shot two on location, which was outside. Obviously, Riverside Park we used a little bit of, and the Hudson River right down by the boardwalk, which kind of runs alongside the river all the way up into Washington Heights. And then we also did it at Albert's apartment, where we shot the opening sequence, the almost like the prologue to the story in a way, sort of. But no, the
Right.
opening sequence and the closing sequence, and then of course the really haunting scene, for me at least, is where Albert is singing goodbye. As the Ravens take his, if you listen to the lyrics, where the Ravens are kind of leaving.
He leaves with the Ravens.
Right, he leaves with the Ravens, and if you look at Albert, we shot that scene in his bedroom, and basically we used the green screen to put in the effect of the shadow, which really is nice because of the way we directioned it opposite Albert's head, and it really cast a strong image. We wish we could have done it where we could have actually not had to green screen it, but the way we tried at first, you didn't get the strong image of the Raven.
Yeah, we actually created that Raven shadow on the wall with a little tiny flashlight,
Right.
Wow.
and putting the bird in front of it,
Yeah.
and then so we took just still images of that,
Yes.
and then we green screened me in front of it. So.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, if you look closely, you can see it's obviously green screen, but
Sure. But in the end, it's all about,
it's the vibe.
the image. It's the image.
image,
It's the image. And if you look at Albert, he's not even, as he's looking down, he's supposed to be looking down at his friend. And his friend, we kind of imagined, would be laying there. So it works out.
Yeah, right. How much of that time was pre-production?
Oh well, now that we did a lot of pre-production though. We probably worked on it for a month, right?
More.
Yeah.
No, I think it was more than that. I mean,
Well-
we had put it away for a while. We started it, right? A matter of fact, no. Okay, so, yeah, we started pre-production during the snowstorm.
Right.
There was a snowstorm where Albert one night invited me to stay in the city because I didn't want to drive. And so what ended up happening was...
You'd gone off the road that morning.
Yeah, I had driven off the road that
Route
morning.
80 coming in.
I almost got into a car accident. I had spun out on Route 80 and went into a snowbank, and luckily I wasn't hurt, and the car was okay. And we were at Albert's, and we had dinner. We started talking, and it was kind of like we started having a few glasses of wine, and as the wine was flowing, we kind of was like, yo, take that notebook out. Let's start talking about. We'd always talked about we were going to do Ravens.
Yeah.
So here's the notebook.
Speaking of the storyboard, right?
Yeah. So, so originally, Jeremy was he was on a roll, How about this? And if you see it, you'll say, what is all of this stuff?
Yeah, it's all scribbles.
You see it's all, it's all, and there's words all over here, and, if you didn't know if you knew the video, you'd say, oh yeah, the birds, there's the raven in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it focuses on the raven, then it focuses on the guy walking up the street. And
Yes.
But the first image I
Empty
knew we had talked about was that the Ravens video would start without the music, and it would actually start with Albert in character, being himself, opening up. The theme of it is that this man is obviously thinking about loss, and in thinking about loss, he's drawing. And so a lot of times I myself, when I'm feeling emotional or something, or if I'm thinking about something, I'll draw. So we wanted to make Albert is an artist. So we did some drawings, and Albert, the whole gist is that Albert is taking you into how he's feeling, but translating it through the sketchbook. So it's almost like, once you see in the opening sequence Albert look up, now we're going, and then the music cuts in. That first image of the raven and then Albert's in the background is supposed to be like, okay, now we're in the sketchbook. That would have been, in other words, that would have been the next drawing you would have seen on the next page. That would have been, it was, and somebody said, man, it's like, you're trying to take, I don't know if Albert and I talked about it. I was like, yeah, it's kind of like the Aha video from Take On Me, kind of, but in a way, sort of, but not really. The Aha video is one of the best videos of all time, but in a way, if you think about it, kind of.
Execution was pretty good, may I say. Did you shoot scenes that weren't in the storyboard?
Yes. Because once we'd put together the film, and we realized that there was kind of holes in it, and for one of the ones, actually what happened was we had storyboarded the keyboard part where the keyboard solo goes, and we had an image where it would be a hand, and then it would pull back, and you'd see that I was playing the piano, and the piano would be green screened onto that place on the Hudson, the rock place where the guitar solo is, but it didn't work. So Jeremy said, you know what, I don't think this is going to work, so try this. He said, just stand in front of the keyboard. Just stand looking, Buckingham Palace guard,
right?
Guarding the keyboard.
And then, that's kind of like, I think the way I envisioned it was when we're focusing on that, that's like the emotion of what he's feeling. So it's like you're going in again, and you're taking out, that's the soul of what's going on the inside of him. It's the loss, because if you look, he's wearing black. It's the loss of his friend. And then if you look at it, he's kind of hovering above the water, because the water's in the background. It's green screened into the background behind the piano, so it's supposed to be like, okay. And in a way, if you think about it, it could almost be Alan himself.
Yeah.
Sort of in
Right
a way.
on.
Yeah.
So those were some of the challenges.
Those are some of the things you threw in.
And then the other one was where I was
Improvisation.
holding the bird. He said, let's do a version of American Gothic where you have
Right.
that person
Yeah,
holding.
they've got the two people right in the painting, where they're standing, one's holding a pitchfork, and I was like, well, what if we just have you standing stiff, kind of holding this bird,
Yeah.
but we won't focus on your head.
Right.
We'll focus down, almost like a Magritte painting.
Yeah.
We'll take these weird kind of compositions where it's just you holding the bird and it pans up and we see your neck and maybe into your chin, but
Yeah.
that's it. But that was to show, like, the way I envisioned it was that the raven himself was important, even though it's a fake bird. But Albert was kind of moving the bird a little bit to give it life. But obviously we couldn't afford a trained raven for the piece. So.
Right on. What was the reaction to people walking by when you were shooting the scenes?
Oh, that was great. That was great. Especially the lady. The lady goes, "How do you get that bird to be like that?"
We had one woman who thought the birds were real. We had laid the birds down on the ground, and she was like, "Oh my God, I thought I saw those birds," and I was like, "How did you train them to do that?"
Oh,
she
wow.
said. And her dog was sniffing and thinking the birds were real, and the dog started to kind of bark a little bit at the birds. But yeah, that was one great reaction. And then another great reaction I thought was one man when we were filming the one of the final scenes where Albert's by the water.
Yes.
One guy actually walked out of his way to not be in the camera scene because he saw what we were doing, and he walked all into this deep snow and walked around. I thought that was kind of cool for the guy to really respect what we're doing.
That's New York for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even realize how hard it is to shoot on location, because this is the first time, I've done anything professional. So as far as directing goes, I've done, illustration and stuff, but as far as, video directing, I didn't realize you have people walking by like every 5 seconds, and it's like you want to tell them to get out of your way, but most of them, for the most part, respected. I've never seen so many baby carriages in my life. It just seemed like every 2 minutes a
And
woman.
dogs.
Wow.
And dogs and baby carriages are just coming by constantly, so you kind of understand why the movie studios have to block off streets
Right.
for hours, when they're filming a scene, because it's just constant people. You never get a break. They're always coming,
Yeah.
especially in New York.
Word is wrong. What kind of equipment did you use to make the video?
It was a Canon Rebel T3, so it was what you call a prosumer,
Okay.
camera, and Ace had a couple different lenses that were pretty good. So it wasn't Hollywood quality, but it was for something that's going to be on the web. It was certainly good.
Satisfactory,
Yeah.
Cool.
And we used these green screens, and we have, we did the green screen. I found out through experience that doing green screen lighting is really important. So we've got a lot of lights here at school.
Indeed.
We've done that.
Were there any other videos that inspired the direction of this video?
Oh yeah, a lot. I mean, if you think about it, first off, for it to be in black and white, I being a 80s baby and really parking myself in front of MTV all throughout the 80s. I saw so many great black and white videos. Like if I think right offhand, Every Breath You Take from the Police. Also black and white movies.
Word is wrong, yes.
And then I thought, just for the mood of the song, it's a beautiful song, but it's not a happy song. It's not a happy song. It's a downright, it's a tribute almost.
Yes.
So
Right,
I was
right.
like,
and the very first verse, it goes, a swift flock of ravens on a cloudy day marks a trail of contrast, black on gray.
Black on
So it's
gray.
right there in the first verse. So he said, I want to make a video. It's got to be black and white. I said, of course it does.
Yeah, it does.
It
There
was
should
no
be no-
question.
You guys were totally in
I
sync.
actually thought at one point, though, that we might put some color in it. I thought maybe we'll do black and white, but we'll, at some points in the song, like, for instance, in the instrumental. Because I think, to me, I've always told Albert, that song is so strong because of his arrangements. Like, his arrangement of piano, his arrangement of... The guitar solo itself is beautiful. I get
Absolutely.
I'll be honest with you, when I hear the guitar solo and I watch the video, and when we get to the guitar solo scene where Albert's on the rock and the camera's panning around him and he's playing the guitar, that guitar solo is so good that you almost get, if you think about it and you start listening and you think of the words, you almost get emotional. There's a few times, I'm not saying I cried, but I definitely was like, it really hit me how good it is and how sweet it is. It's sweet.
Yeah,
And
it
if you,
is.
you know, and then like the way the sun hits off of Albert, he's playing for his friend
Yes.
in that scene. So it's like he's looking up to the heavens almost. He's in this world that is empty, and the environment surrounds him. But you do feel his emptiness of his friend not being around anymore. You know, kind of like when you lose somebody, you focus a lot more on your surroundings
Yes, you do.
when your friend dies or when your family member dies.
Yes, you do.
You're all of a sudden you're so aware of what room you're in, or sometimes you're aware of a voice in the room. But like at this point here, I was like, yeah, man, this is like, because you don't see anybody but Albert in that scene. You just see him against the water and the coastline, and it's just him, the guitar, and it's like, okay, yeah, it just worked.
Yeah, it really draws you in. I enjoyed that. How does making a video compare to creating a comic book?
There's not a big difference, really, to be honest with you. When I think about it, you have your story. Let's be honest, it's just about story. It's really story driven. The art, there's so many different styles of comic book art now, just like there is cinematography and the way you shoot something. It really wasn't. I just wanted to capture what he felt when he wrote. I wanted him to be happy. So
Right.
if he said, no, I don't like this, or I want this I wasn't going to say yes or no. I would maybe just say, okay, well, let's think about this for a minute. But I wanted him to overall be happy and feel like, you know what, the work of art itself came together. Because I think if Ravens, actually got the actual audience that it really deserves, I think the song could really do well. It's a beautiful song. I wouldn't be surprised if down the line it falls into the right hands and somebody wants to re-record it. I mean, it's just that good of a song.
I completely agree.
It's that good.
It is really good. How does making a video relate to writing and recording a song?
Well, I would say that it boils down to the story again, but I think making a video is a lot more technical. There's a lot of techniques that you don't think about when you're writing a song. You're trying to get a good melody that fits with the emotions and the story that you're trying to tell, and and then once you've got a good melody, then you try and find chords that support that, or they either support it or they contrast to it depending upon the effect that you want. But that's about it. Okay.
And I think when you're directing it and you're thinking about the way first off, the angle of the camera, you got to think about a lot, like, because where you hold the camera, just like in doing a comic book, which is something else I do, you have to think about the angle of what you're shooting and how does that translate to the story? How does it translate to the mood of the piece? If you shoot certain angles, it means something. It has a feeling. You shoot straight on, you shoot up, you shoot down, you pan in, you pan out. Things of those. You have to take that all into account when you're doing things.
And lighting and
lighting too, right?
Yeah,
lighting, and
getting the right lighting.
I think the lighting was very good in this. What we did. I mean, we really had a beautiful day. We were about an hour away from sunset, which most painters who paint outside, or even landscape artists that want to capture light, it's either you wake up early when the sun is just coming up and you're getting those contrasty shadows, or as the sun is coming down is when the strongest light is really. Nobody shoots in the middle of the day. You don't shoot at 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock when the sun's at its highest. You get nothing. It's all whitewashed.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah, so those are factors that don't factor into writing a song or something.
Sure.
So,
Right on. Can we expect to see more videos from you?
oh yeah.
I hope so.
Oh yeah.
I hope so. I mean, we've already.
I hope so, too.
I won't say on camera here, but we've talked a little bit about another song, maybe on the album. We've also started to talk about possibly maybe some sort of joint venture of doing movie shorts, or even doing other music videos for other people, or just but we definitely it's fun for us. We work well together too. I mean, we have a good time. Sometimes we get too goofy,
Right.
it's like, but the jokes,
Yeah.
especially
But, you know, even then, you know, I mean, when we're, you know, we've done a few songs for school. They they always come out great.
They
but
are.
Not everybody.
Weird Al has nothing on us.
Yeah, yeah,
Weird Al
yeah.
Yankovic has nothing on
Just
us.
some crazy stuff. Or you know, we work in a high school, so of course,
Yes.
you know,
We're kept young by the students.
yes, we're kept. But also,
Amen to
there's
that.
a lot of things that, you know, for a rock and roll guy would not be appropriate in high schools. But you know, in behind closed doors,
Oh,
we'll
sure,
say,
sure,
you know,
sure.
now what's
We-
the most inappropriate song we could do for graduation?
Yeah, exactly. We have a lot of fun thinking about, like, you know, if we
How
could
bad
put-
could we be?
Yeah, exactly. How bad could we actually be if we picked certain
Yeah.
songs for, like, you
Yeah.
know, graduation or
Right. If we
know.
didn't have to worry about losing our jobs.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
We didn't have to worry about, you know, union regulations and all those sorts of
Yeah,
things.
going
Like,
to jail.
What is the most inappropriate song we could actually play and get away with? You know, so yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. We have fun.